All glories to the assembly. Glories to the assembly. All glories to the assembly. All glories to Sri Sri Guru Gora. Glories to Hare Krishna. This morning, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 11, entitled Jadabharat instructs King Rahulgana, text 17. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Pratyamidam tat tadhapyaviryam upekshayate hitam apamatam Gurohares charanopashanastro Jahi Varityam Sayam Atmamosham Pratyam menam tadapat praviryam Upekshayate hitam apramatam Gurohares charanopasannastro The formidable enemy. Enam. This mind. Tat. That. Adapraviryam. Very, very powerful. Ekshaya. By neglecting. Adyet become. Unnecessarily increased in power. Apramata. One who is without illusion. Guru. Of the spiritual master. Hare. Of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Charan. Of the lotus feet. Upasana Astra. Applying the weapon of worship. Jahi. Conquer. Vyalikam. False. Swayam. Personality. Atmamosham. Which covers the constitutional position of the living entity. Translation: this uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O King, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care. Please repeat. This uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it, or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful, and will become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers a constitutional position of the soul. O King, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. There is one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered: neglect. The mind is always telling us to do this or that. Therefore, we should be very expert in disobeying the mind's orders. Gradually, the mind should be trained to obey the orders of the soul. It is not that one should obey the orders of the mind. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that to control the mind, one should beat it with shoes many times just after awakening, and again before going to sleep. In this way, one can control the mind. This is the instruction of all the Shastras. If one does not do so, one is doomed to follow the dictations of the mind. Another bona fide process is to abide strictly by the orders of the spiritual master and engage in the Lord's service. Then the mind will be automatically controlled. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed Srila Rupa Goswami, Pramanda Pramati Kona Bhagavan Jiyu Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Eat. When one receives the seed of devotional service, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's real life begins. If one abides by the orders of the spiritual master, by the grace of Krishna, he is freed from service to the mind. Last sense of Bhakti and the purpose of the 5th canto, 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Jadabharat instructs King Rahugana. Pamagyanam Kanandasya Gyanam Sakaya Chaksham Tasmai Sri Krishna Krishnaya Hari Srimati Bhakti Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Devi Shesha Shrimari Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Advaita Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation again: this uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O King, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care. a few people have stressed to me here that the mind is very difficult and very restless. Well, that's quite normal. Krishna says that the mind is fickle by nature. And Krishna also says here, what is repeated here, what is also stated here in Srimad Bhagavatam, the uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy. The controlled mind is your best friend. It says, if one neglects it, it will grow more and more powerful. But in the purpose, Prabhu is saying, which seems something like it's contradictory, and that is, there's one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered: neglect. So here in the translation, it means if one neglects the mind, if one doesn't endeavor to control the mind, as Prabhupada had said, many things, but he also said one should endeavor strenuously to control the senses. It means if you neglect the mind and give it a chance, it will grow more powerful. So we have to direct, the mind has to be directed. The mind cannot be stopped. According to modern science, I've heard different opinions. Some say 40 and some say hundreds or thousands. Every minute there's some stimuli coming into the mind. It's like we're sitting here, we're in the class, we're seeing the trees outside, we're hearing a humming from somewhere, we're hearing someone cutting subjects. All these different things are going on, and the car passes, and the birds sing, or whatever, when the sun comes out. So much stimuli is going on every moment of the mind. But the mind's business is to accept and reject. I like this, I don't like that. That's the function of the mind mainly. The ordinary conditioned mind. I like this, I don't like that. So most of these stimuli you just focus on what is most important. And now it's most important is supposed to be here in Srimad Bhagavatam class, so we try to focus on that. But of course, if there's an explosion, everyone will go like that. Everyone's attention will immediately go away. So whatever's most prominent, because there's danger, we think there's danger. So whatever is most prominent, then the mind will go to that place. So to neglect the mind means to follow the mind. But in the translation, but in the Prabhupada says the weapon which the mind, easy weapon, which the mind become conquered is neglect. That means the mind is always going here and there because it's nature. You don't take it seriously. That means you neglect it. What is going on in the mind, the condition, it's not important. We have more important things to do. Of course, we do have more important things to do. We are fortunate we have this wonderful knowledge, Atma Tattva, Krishna consciousness. So we have more important subject matter. Otherwise, a conditioned mind, what is the most important subject matter? It's all about how we can improve our situation. So that's the position of the conditioned living soul, because it's uncomfortable. To explain, the material world is an uncomfortable situation for the small soul. So they're always looking for a better position, little safety, then security, and then happiness, which is the driving force. So the mind is always hovering over the material energy, looking for these two things. Where's security? Where's safety? Where will I feel And where is pleasure? That's the main business of the mind. So you neglect that. You don't worry about that. You don't get absorbed in it. It means you become a little aloof. It means now you're using your intelligence by observing the mind. Conditioned souls who really don't observe the mind so much. They're living in the mind, living in their own mental world mainly. So you don't observe it so much. And for sense gratification, you have to surrender your mind. You have to give your mind to Maya. It's like in Krishna consciousness, we have to give our mind to Krishna. Right? When we chant Hare Krishna, it says the mind should be absorbed in the mantra, and the mantra should be in the mind. In other words, that's samadhi, nothing else should be going on, only the mantra that when we chant it, japa. So when you're absorbed in it, then that's samadhi. It's the same with sense gratification. When you're absorbed in sense gratification, that's your exercise, that's your pleasure. When you're absorbed in sense gratification, when you're engaged in sense gratification, you can't be analytical. There's no fun. Just like if there's a really good movie, a really good. The good producers, they know how to. What they want to do is draw our emotions out. That's the success of the film. They want to make us cry, make us laugh, make us feel sad, make us happy, that's what they want to achieve by making these films. And so they achieve that objective. It's a really good film. We have a roast in it, and it's sad, then we cry, then it's funny, then we laugh. But if you analyze it, it's just some perspex and some paint, colour, and some light going through it, and some sound. And the whole story is fictitious. It has no real meaning. It's just someone's creative imagination. The characters are not real. They're just actors. And there's no real substance in the film. And all these things that they're done under lights, and take hours to produce just a couple of half a minute. But it'd be no fun if you're thinking like that. That's what you're actually seeing, the work that goes behind it. You see the background of it. There's nothing there, right? It's just colours, lights, and some sound. That's all. But so then you can't be intellectual. Huh? One devotee was given the example. He used to live in Hollywood. So the drama's going on, and whatever it is, and the plane crashes or whatever. There's no real plane. It's just a model done in a studio. They say, "Shut up, will you? You're destroying my fun. You're destroying my entertainment, my pleasure. You're telling me it's not real." So we don't want to. You don't want to see that. You don't really use your intellect when you're engaged in sense gratification, because you understand that's what it is. The senses are coming into contact with the senses, and there's some sensation coming from it. So what, So you've got to be absorbed in the mind to actually appreciate, to enjoy it, sense gratification. You can't. The intellect the intelligence is just analytical. There's no rasa in the intelligence. There's no taste in the intelligence. All the experiencing is done in the mind. That's why the mind is so important. The mind is like a connection between the spiritual and the material. But it has to be directed, the mind. And so therefore we have this wonderful information and so many different ways that we can actually direct or engage the mind. Otherwise, if you don't, if you just follow it, then it becomes more and more powerful, right? Because the problem with sense gratification is there is a feeling of security, there is a feeling of pleasure, right? That's our experience. From that experience comes attachment. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for peace. I'm looking for happiness. So I've experienced it. So therefore, you get attached to that. And whatever you're attached to, wherever your heart is, that's where you go. Especially at the time of death, wherever your heart is, you go there. So that's the problem with sense gratification. There is an experience of pleasure there, but the problem is, along with that experience comes attachment. Along with that attachment comes rebirth. So the actual pleasure, the material pleasure, for selfish sense gratification is actually a cause of distress, further distress. You may experience some happiness now, but the result of that, it brings distress, because it will call another body. So it has to be avoided. It's not that we don't enjoy Krishna consciousness. We act for Krishna's pleasure, or the devotee's pleasure. It doesn't mean to say we're not going to enjoy it. We actually the secondary enjoyers. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. But if we're connected with the supreme enjoyer, if you're connected with the reservoir of pleasure, you would think you're not going to enjoy it. Because you're in the ocean. You're in the ocean reservoir of pleasure. If you're in contact with that, then it's the greatest pleasure. But we're the secondary enjoyers. That's your Sanatana Dharma. That's the actual constitution of the soul. It's to be happy in connection with service to Krishna. You can't get any happier than that. Because when you're with Krishna, then you feel complete shelter. And when you're with Krishna, you're feeling complete satisfaction and happiness. Because that's natural. That's what we are. We're eternal servants of Krishna. So this is what has to be evolved. And it's not something alien. It's something that is there. Nityasiddha Krishna Prema. That's already there in the heart. The soul is within the region of the heart. The heart and the mind are also synonymous. Because the feelings, thinking, feeling and willing are done within the heart. So it means here, if you neglect the mind, give it a chance, it'll become stronger and more victorious. So it has to be directed. The Prabhu said the easy weapon which the mind can be controlled is neglect. Neglect in this sense is don't listen to the mind on the material platform. Don't follow it. It's going. It's like a kid. You don't take them seriously, the children, right? When the children are playing, and sometimes they're laughing, and the next moment they're crying, and the next moment they're laughing again, and the mother knows she's hearing. But when it's serious, when this child cries for real, then the mother immediately there. And she knows that the crying now is nothing, they'll be laughing soon. When they're laughing, she knows in a while they'll be crying. when it's for real, then she knows, the mother knows by that sound. So, just neglect the mind. You don't have to listen to the mind. You don't have to listen to the senses. And Srila Prabhupada said that the way of that neglecting, and that's the way of actual freedom, is that one is not trying to, mention the Bhagavad Gita, the sober person, he doesn't try to enjoy the senses, nor does he try to get out of the senses, to become free from the senses. You just have to live with it. Then what will you do then? Because that's all that's going on in this world, or for pious, civilized people. That's what's going on. There's two processes of karma and gyan. Karma is the process of how to enjoy now and later in a religious way. Then we have your sense gratification is restricted. That's religion, restricted sense enjoyment. But you will gradually evolve. It's progressive because you're actually accepting these restrictions or these religious tenets. So you're accepting the orders of a superior person, and ultimately that's Krishna. So you're actually surrendering to Krishna indirectly. Then on the other side, the yogis and the jnanis and the others who are transcendentalists are trying to become free from the illusion, free from it. That's the other side. That's the other side of the coin. But for the devotee, he's not trying either, because the subject matter of both is Maya, is illusion. And one is trying to control the illusion, one is trying to enjoy the illusion. So they're both in Maya. They're both facing Maya. But the devotee becomes indifferent He doesn't try to enjoy material energy. He doesn't try to control the material energy. He engages in service to Krishna. He turns away from that, turns away from mind, doesn't focus on mind, and focuses on Krishna. So that's a direct process, simple process. Prabhupada says you should be very expert at disobeying the mind's demands. I like this, I don't like that. And the mind is very like a child also. It says in the Srimad Bhagavatam that the person is striving for self-realization. He said the husband in the house, and the wife is saying we should get this, we should do that, we should have this, and he said yes, very good, yes, we should. He agrees with everything, but in his mind he knows the purpose of life is actually self-realization. But he goes along with it, and most of the stuff he doesn't do anyway, but just to appease. Just to appease, just like with a child, you say, yes, good idea, we'll do this, and we'll go there, we'll go on a picnic, we'll buy ice cream, we'll go on a ride, and we'll do this. You don't do anything, but the child is happy. So the mind is a little foolish like that. You can easily be subdued. Yes, okay, we'll do it later. Later we'll do it. Right now we have some savor to do. Just come back to this. We'll get back to that. Once it's gone, it's gone. Something else will come, right? There's always, 4,000 things a minute coming, so there's always something going on. So you can speak to the mind like that. Otherwise, you can go and you can just tell them, like, shut up. I'm sick and tired of listening to you ranting and raving. You've always got a better idea, and the result of it, you've got this body again. Shut up and be quiet. You better do it in the forest, otherwise people think that they're wrong. But anyway, otherwise, that means neglect. And Prabhupada is quoted in Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He says one should beat the mind with shoes just after going to sleep. Just after waking up, you should beat it with shoes, and again before going to sleep. I think the analogy is beat it with shoes 100 times before you go to sleep, and with a broom 100 times when you wake up. It means when you wake up, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that's the way. Just like when we wake up in the morning, and it's true. Some of us. For the Brahmins, they engage in puja things. And there's a lot of rules about purity. So first thing, when you wake up, Hare Krishna, Jai Guru. Because nighttime is the time for other subtle-living entities to come. And when you're sleeping, if you're sleeping more than 2 hours, then all the toxins also start to come out of your body gets a rest. So the bed is considered muchi, and you're considered unclean at that particular time. So just if you spell all that, then Hare Krishna, when you wake up, Hare Krishna, like blowing a concert. Hey, everything unauspicious moves away. Then you pay obeisances to Guru, and offer his pranams, and take his permission to rise and perform your daily nitya kriyas, your daily activities, take bath, and then all that you have to do. So the whole process is like cleaning, that's all the way through the morning puja. So this way, beat the mind, however you beat it. Means you hear some Krishna Katha. Prabhupada recommended reading Krishna book before you go to bed. And when you wake up, read Hare Krishna. So you wake up in the morning, you pay your obeisances to the spiritual master and offer prayers to Krishna. You wake up in the morning, you know what I am. I'm the eternal servant of Krishna. My Guru is here. Give me guidance how to live my life. So it puts you in the proper consciousness, right? As soon as you wake up in the morning, you know, I'm the eternal servant of Krishna in his body. So that puts you in the proper state of mind to start your daily activities. So Prabhupada says this is the instruction of all the Shastra to control the mind. If one does not do so, one is doomed to follow the dictation of the mind. So now he's given another process. Prabhupada given 3 processes to control the mind here. Another bona fide process is to abide strictly by the orders of the spiritual master and engage in the Lord's service. Then the mind will be automatically controlled. This is the last one. Okay, by neglect, by following the orders of the spiritual master, by beating it in the morning and evening, and by following the orders of the spiritual master. And he's quoting now Rupa Goswami, Lord Chaitanya's instructions to Rupa Goswami. How, when one receives the seed of devotional service by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, it's Saprasada, Bhagavad Prasada, Saprasada. By the mercy of Krishna, and if one is a little sincere, Krishna within the heart, super soul, he brings Guru before us, presents Guru. And by the mercy of Guru, then he brings Krishna before us. That is the process. And then one's real life actually begins. If one abides by the orders of the spiritual master, and by the grace of Krishna, he is free from service to the mind. So, abiding by the orders of the spiritual master, that's our program. That's what we can do. And then by the mercy of Krishna, the two fingers too short, Damodar, the endeavor of the living entity, and ultimately the mercy of the Lord. So it's ultimately mercy that we're looking for. We want the mercy of the Lord. But still, we're trying, and we're hoping against hope for this mercy, so we become perfect. We become surrendered to Krishna. Kripa Siddhi. We're hoping for that. But at the same time, we're working on sadhana siddhi, to become perfect by our sadhana. That's what we have to do to show our chastity to Guru. We have to endeavor strenuously to control the senses and follow the orders of the spiritual master. It means Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. We don't have that. Right? We don't have that attachment to Krishna. So what to do if you don't have it? You don't have it. What can you do? Then you have to put yourself in a position, the best position, in which to awaken that power, and that is Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. You can't jump to rag. It's a gift. It's a revelation. It's revealed. Someone is going to reveal it. That is the mercy ultimately of Krishna. Even if you can somehow or other force your way to the spiritual world, you still got to knock on the door. Someone has to open it. So you're always dependent on the mercy of Krishna. We don't realize that. That's our problem. We don't realize how we're dependent on Krishna. We have this separatist mentality. We're so convinced, the false ego has really got us tied up that we think we're the doers, we're the bodies and we're the doers. Because we experience, when we perform activities, we get results with which we suffer and enjoy, which we experience from. It really feels like we're the actual doers. Wherein Krishna says, in actual fact, the living entity is not doing anything at all, it's simply desiring. And all these activities are carried out by the material energy. But because it's the software and the hardware, it's so fine, it's finely tuned, it's so fast that we think we're doing it. We don't see how Krishna within the heart is understanding our thought processes in the mind. He's directing the demigods in their hearts, and they're arranging for the action to take place. We don't see all that. It's so fast. Then we think we're doing it because it's very subtle and it's so quick. So then we can, okay, the body, engage the body in service to Krishna. So Sanatana Goswami, when he met Lord Chaitanya, he said, people are calling me very learned, Pandit. He said, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't even know who I am. So Some say I'm the body, some say the mind, and some say the soul. I don't know. He said, but whatever I am, I'm using your service. So that's the instruction for us. Whatever, if we think we're the body, okay, engage the body in Krishna service. So that's what we're doing. We're in the bodily consciousness. So engage the body in the service of Krishna. And Prabhu said you strenuously engage, trying to control the senses by engaging them in Krishna service. Not strenuously, like the yogis and the jnanis, they strenuously try to control the senses. The process of yoga, meditation, is just like you have a basket with 6 snakes, senses, with no top on it. And so the snake's going out, and you take the snake and put it back, and another one goes, and you take it and put it. This is yoga. Keep withdrawing the senses from the sense objects. It's hard work, and it's very, very lucky when you can get all the snakes to just stay there at one time. It takes, in Kali Yuga, it's impossible anyway, as we've heard. Tado nastiva, not karma, not jnana, not yoga. So the simple process, and that what do you do when you control the senses is the next question. What do you do when you get liberation? What do the jnanis do when they become perfect? What do the yogis do when they become perfect? After many births of being a jnani, then he understands Krishna, Vasudeva Savanati, and he surrenders to it. And the yogi, when he becomes perfect, what does he do? He realizes Super Soul, and he surrenders to the Super Soul. So bhakti is a direct process. We're directly trying to surrender to Krishna from the very beginning, without realization. You can't wait for that realization, because nothing's going to give you that realization. The processes of karma, jnana, yoga, they won't work in Kali Yuga. But the Lord Chaitanya's grace, He's given given this process by which we can, not only Lord Chaitanya, but this is a special bonus which we'll mention, Lord Chaitanya, that Krishna has given that process of bhakti. If we directly engage in the service of Krishna, then automatically the senses are controlled. Attachment to Krishna and detachment from matter are synonymous. Automatically you become if you're attached to Krishna, resolved in Krishna, automatically you're forgotten about Maya. So this is a problem. We have to give our mind to Krishna. As we said in the beginning, unless you give your mind to sense gratification, it's no fun. Same thing, because the experiencing is done in the mind. So you've got to give your mind to Krishna, not just your intellect. We know what to do. We know the philosophy. But we know the philosophy of Maya. It's going to cause us trouble. Still we go for it. Because the mind likes it. Because there's something there for the mind. The intelligence is dry, only analytical. So the same way we can understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, but next we actually apply the philosophy. Next we actually give our minds to it, then we won't taste anything. That's the process. We're doing it with Maya. That means we're surrendering to Maya. We're surrendering our mind to Maya. Yeah? You don't analyze when you're in sense gratification. Otherwise it takes the fun away. You get absorbed in it. So therefore, and the same thing in Krishna consciousness. You have to give your mind. So that's the process of sadhana, and that's liberation. As soon as you've done this, the moment you do that, you're liberated. There's no karma. There's no reaction for that work. Okay? I'm not doing. Of course, we're not coming to Krishna because we love Krishna. We're not going to Krishna because, at best, we're going to Krishna because it's our duty. Don't mind any devotees here. This is the best amongst the 4 people that come to Krishna. The wise man, he knows I should be serving God. He does it. Shantaras. So he's the best of everyone. Of course we have a self-interest. Either one or the other, one of those 4. We have an interest there, a self-interest. Even if it's duty, which is the best interest of the 4. But still, That may be what we want, but over and above that, we should be absorbed to achieve that, though. We should be absorbed in the devotional service to get the actual fruit. And by doing that, we get purified. The senses become purified, the mind becomes purified, the intelligence becomes purified, the desires become purified. Then we become like Dhruva, right? Hey, what am I doing? I'm asking for a broken glass. I've got diamonds. So it's hope that you continue before your desire is fulfilled, and then some people go away like that. They get what they want. They lose their problem which they came to Krishna for, and they go away, unfortunately. But one should stick. One should understand. That's why the philosophy is important. To be able to understand there's something much more valuable than what we're actually going for, and that is to reawaken our relationship with Krishna. It's the most valuable thing. All these other things, all these other desires for happiness that we're going for, are actually blocking our real happiness. This is our madness. We're actually blocking the real happiness. We're going for something much more inferior, putting that in the way of something superior. So that is the false ego, the separatist mentality. We divorced ourselves from service to Krishna, and then it's just service for myself. So okay, then we're given the process of sadhana bhakti. But it says you'll never get prema by sadhana bhakti. So what to do? Oh, you won't, but what else? But you have to do sadhana bhakti. You don't have raga, you don't have it. What are you going to do? So you have to engage in sadhana bhakti. But understand, you've got to come to that platform of attachment. You've got to actually give your mind to Krishna. Give your mind to Krishna's service. Give your mind to Krishna's devotees. Give your mind to anything that's connected with Krishna. And that's this platform of peace. So it's such an energy drag to think of sense gratification. When you're fasting, you'll notice that. You're doing your job. At the end of the day, it's such a headache to try and think of sense gratification. And the thoughts of sense gratification, oh my God, isn't it? You notice that? Such an energy drag. Hard work. But when we're not fasting and the senses are strong, then hey, you don't mind. When the senses are really subdued, that's the benefit of fasting. Of course, we don't fast never more than one day. But you have, and though we are doing some fast or some austerities, Kartik, and then in that time you open your eyes and have a look around, and you get some realization. Remember that. So as far as sadhana, you can go as far as you can go with sadhana. That you're really giving everything. You're really trying your best to surrender to Krishna. And when you come to the point that I'm giving everything, I can't give anymore. I can't give anymore. I'm just, this is very advanced. You can't do that. I can't give anymore, Krishna. And at that point, what can you do? You can't do anymore. You're really doing your best. Your best consciousness, your best endeavor. The purity of purpose is there. I'm just trying to do it for your pleasure, Krishna. What can you do? Then you can only cry. Now you're waiting for Krishna. This is it. The endeavor of the living entity plus the mercy of Krishna. You've done everything you can. You're perfect. You're doing the best you can in your sadhana, but it's not enough. Krishna, where are you? You're still dependent on His mercy. At that time, you can't do anymore. You can bang your head, you can pull a seeker, you can cry, you can pray, but still, you're waiting for Krishna's mercy. At that time, you actually realize it's not by my sadhana. It's actually by the mercy of the Lord. I am dependent on the mercy of the Lord. I'm dependent on Him. But then that will be realized that the process of sadhana will bring this realization. But the fact is, we're always dependent on the Lord Krishna. We're dependent right now. 24 hours a day, throughout the whole life, we're dependent on Krishna. But we don't realize it because we've separated ourselves from that. We think we're independent of Krishna. I want to live my life the way I think I should live it. But that's the actual the main problem there. So that's when you get perfection sadhana, you'll get that realization. Then you can cry sincerely. Then you can pray sincerely, because now you realize I am dependent on Krishna. There's no pretense anymore. Everything's good. You're given everything. Now you just open your heart. Krishna, please, I can't do anyone. Please, I'm dependent on you. Now, now he's serious. After all these lifetimes, now he's a little serious. Krishna hears that, just like when the child is crying seriously, the mother knows. All the other times he's crying, laughing. But when it's serious, she knows, right? She'll run there. Mother knows. That genuine crying, like the mother crying, the mother always says. Then you have to be genuine. What is genuine? That I'm not the controller. I'm not the enjoyer. Sorry, but we're not. We've taken that false idea that we are. That's the first covering we get, and that's the last thing that goes. Obviously, it's the finest covering. So it's not a problem. It's not unusual to have a restless mind. It's not unusual to have uncontrolled senses. That's why we're here. But don't worry about those things. By the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, he's coming to accept our service. See, if you read Bhagavatam, very difficult. You want to go back to Gora. You read Chaitanya Chaitamrita, you're going back differently. There's no question. You've done a little service to the Lord's pure devotee. Or a little service to the devotee of his pure devotee, or devotee of a devotee of a devotee. Somewhere along the line, that's it. Your mark. That's Chaitanya Chaitamrita, that's Lord Chaitanya. You don't want nothing to worry about. And when we want to approach Krishna, Vishnu, you have to go through the process of purification, varnashram, different systems of spiritual emancipation. Then you come to platform of Vasudeva, Sudasattva, become transcendental. Then you can know Krishna. If you want to go to the sun, you have to have a body made of fire. Otherwise you can't enter. If you want to enter into the spiritual world, you have a spiritual body. Otherwise you can't enter. So you've got to come to that platform of Vasudeva. You've got to become self-realized. How will you become self-realized in Kali Yuga? Nothing will work. So it's impossible. So Mahaprabhu is one of the reasons he's Mahavadana. He's not considering qualification because he knows he won't find it. He knows your mind. Your mind is crazy. He knows your senses are wild, and I'll accept your service anyway. It doesn't have to wait. It's not a prerequisite to wait for purification. So don't think like that. When I control my senses, when I get these things out of the way, when I control my mind, then I can. Probably that will never happen. Don't think like that. That's what the yogis do, and the jnanis do. That's not our process. Our process is engaging Krishna service first. From that, all the mind will become purified. The senses will become purified. Already the senses are controlled. And the mind is controlled as much as we absorb in that service. It's liberation. Realization may come later. But that's liberation, actual liberation, not karma. So Mahaprabhu, he doesn't care. He's not making an issue about your crazy mind. He doesn't worry. Why should you worry? Why should you worry about your mind this and that way? Mahaprabhu doesn't worry. Okay, serve me with crazy senses. I'm full of passion. Okay, serve me passionately. I'm in Tamaguru. Okay, serve me. Whatever. He's offering a chance for anyone and everyone to engage in service to him, under whatever you like. He's not considering nationality or gender or advancement or not advancement. So anyone can surrender to Krishna. Vishwanath Thakur says that there's two devotees. One is a good samskara, highly qualified, born in a highly qualified Brahmin, Vaishnava family with all the adhikar, all the proper etiquette, very pure, knows all the shastra. devotee chants Hare Krishna, worships Krishna. And a simple illiterate person, devotee chants Hare Krishna. So he asks the question, who gets Krishna's mercy first? What's the answer?
Probably the simple,
Huh?
literate man.
What?
Probably the simple and the literate.
Why?
devotee.
What?
Because he honors.
Huh?
He lives maybe free from pride and can sincerely bear.
Well, the other one can do also. Yeah. He has all the good qualities. He's trained nicely. Anyway, Vishwanath says the one who's most sincere. So it's not dependent on position, situation, not depending on the field. It says, Rupa Goswami says that knowledge after a couple of years, you know all the philosophy, right? You read the book, read the Nectar Devotions, Bhagavatam, you know everything. And then it's a question of applying. And then when you're applying the philosophy in your sadhana, then it's a question of sincerity of purpose. Why are you doing it? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Not what you're doing, it's why you're doing it. Right? Purity of purpose. So it means sincerity. You're actually sincere. You're doing it sincerely doing it for Krishna's pleasure or for my pleasure. We can judge. We can judge what kind of devotees we are by asking ourselves, what am I expecting from Krishna in the quiet times? What do I expect from Krishna? Then you can find out what level of devotion, what level of devotee we are. In any case, it's just that it's sincerity of purpose. So what does that depend on? Anyway, but if one is sincerely, it takes actually surrender. It's surrendering your mind to Krishna. A guru, a Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told his disciples, it's your mind that I want. He said, I have 4 disciples. 2 arms, 2 hands and 2 legs. Anyway, so neglect the mind. You don't have to listen to the mind. Just let it be. Just let it rest. Just be quiet. Be peaceful. It's hard work. It's hard work. Material life is hard struggle for existence. So when we take the devotional service, then obviously we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get old, sick, die, and go back to Godhead. But we'll do it without anxiety. Why should there be anxiety in your life? Material world. Right now, this is as good as it gets, Krishna consciousness. It doesn't get any better than this. We're not going to be Krishna conscious in the future. Krishna consciousness is an experience. You can only experience Krishna consciousness in the present. Right? There's no point in worrying about the future unless you're a manager. You're a manage your life. You understand? When's the best time to surrender to Krishna? This is a question. When is the best time?
Right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next moment, the best time. And it's raining and it's cold. It's the best time. It's the best thing that's happening. We're dancing, we're chanting, we're taking prasad, we're hearing Krishna Katha, we're serving this Swami. The best thing. And whatever happens that's what you got. This is what you deal with. And even though the material environment may not be as exactly what we desire, but we can't. It's beyond our control. So we just accept it. Whatever it is, we can still serve Krishna. Instead of worrying how to adjust the externals. That's Maya's business, is to absorb our attention. No, you'll be more comfortable if the sun comes out. we can't do anything about that. But little things we can do about. Of course, you have to defend this. You have to keep your body and soul healthy. But it's not. We don't go overboard for those things. But anyway, the real consciousness is that we have an opportunity to serve Krishna. So in happiness or distress, we serve Krishna. I mean, distressful. Then you're always peaceful. That's the secret of peace. You don't have that anxiety, you see. Because we're dependent on Krishna. We can't change the circumstances. Very difficult. They come automatically. It's beyond our control. So you just go. You have to pass through it. It's expected. Krishna says it's a difficult place. It's Krishna's opinion, and he's the manufacturer. You better believe it. He says it's a place of misery. And we're trying to adjust the place of misery into a place of happiness. Please, Krishna, take it. Please stop my suffering. Please, Krishna said, look, I'd have to rewrite the whole, scripture, the whole universal program for you. I've already arranged that it's a place of suffering, and you want me to change it. I mean, what can I do? No, this is a rule. Just don't stay there. Get out. At least while you're there, focus on me. That's why I come. I come to show you myself. I come to show you my pastimes. I come to show you my beauty. I come to show you my friends. I come to show you their attitudes. And then we're inviting you to come over. Step in. Step inside the bubble. But you won't come in. Unfortunately. Krishna is doing his part, right? He's given all facility. He's given you all the rules in the scripture, Bhagavad Gita, everything is there, all the information, and he's telling us what the material world is, how it just causing us trouble. Bringing us back again and again in different species of life, trying to futile struggle for peace and happiness. He's told us it's all a waste of time. He's come and showed us his superior pastimes, and he's invited us to join. And as Mahaprabhu, he's coming begging, please, Prabhu is canvassing, please, I bought these fruits of love of God, they're so nice, take them, it's so nice. Why didn't you take them? We can't understand. I'm one man, I can't distribute them. I'm given a fraction of the price. It means you don't have to become controlled, you don't have to become self-realized. You only need faith. I'm giving for that price. Still they are not taken. This is their misfortune. Om Ahavanai, Krishna Paramagaya, Krishna, Krishna Chaitanya, and yeah, we're always saying, I'm hankering for the love of Krishna. But we don't actually take it. we don't take it fully. Krishna says that as you surrender to me, I will reveal myself accordingly. So Krishna has put the ball in our court. This is the rule, this is the game. Now Krishna is served, now it's up to us to, you know what I mean? The ball is in our court in tennis. When the ball is in your court, you have to serve. So Krishna's put the ball in our court. Now we have to serve. He's waiting for us. Now this is our freedom. This is our independence. This is our choice. Krishna's not going to interfere. How do you want to serve back? And so as much as you serve back to that degree, Krishna will give them no Krishna. If you want to accept completely, if you surrender completely to Krishna, Krishna will completely surrender to you. He will become subservient to you. We see that with the pure devotees. Krishna sells himself to the pure devotees. So whatever you want, that's... So the problem is we don't have that faith. We're not convinced, we're not actually convinced that Krishna will give their goods. That's the problem. And we have this attachment to Maya who pays the goods. We know the system. And she does give a little relief, a little satisfaction. We don't want to let that go. So we can't. At the same time, we want to love Krishna. But that's the price. Krishna says, what do you want? You can't take that with you. You can't take this mentality into the atmosphere where I am. It's not there. It's rasabas. It's not allowed. So you've got to drop that off if you want to come in. As much as we drop off that close, we can get to Krishna. Therefore you have Mathura, Dwarka, Ayodhya, Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha you can go. If you have material desires, you can go to Vaikuntha, because, self-interest desire, because you've got this 5 times the liberation. Same planet as the Lord, same form as the Lord, same opulence as the Lord. Right? But you won't get up into Braj if you're still carrying these self-interested motivations with you. So it's our choice, you see. The Krishna is very fair person. And he's offering to give himself completely, which is something we wouldn't do. We wouldn't give ourselves completely to somebody else. The Krishna, he agreed to come under, submissive to our desires and control. But the qualification is we've got to get there. The qualification is that purity of purpose, that we're only interested in Krishna's satisfaction. That's the qualification to get into Braj. Krishna's happiness is more important than my happiness. This is the otherwise, as long as you get out in the material world, it's perfection. As long as you get into the spiritual world, whether it's Vaikuntha upwards, it's his perfection. But Mahaprabhu is offering something. You can go to Braj without paying hardly any price. You don't have to wait for purification. You don't have to wait to try to experience all those, to go through those stages of Bhava and Prema. Because who's getting this stages? Prabhupada said many times you go back to God in one lifetime. Prabhupada didn't say you can get Krishna Prema in one lifetime. I never heard that. And who's getting it, factually speaking? Very, very exalted. But in your next birth, you'll take birth in Braj Bhumi Vrindavan, where Krishna's appearing. Then you're taking birth in the family of gopis and gopis. Then all those perfections, all those perfections, they will develop at that time. Your rati, your bhava, and your prema will develop at that, because you'll be with all Krishna's devotees. That's all they talk about. And then you'll directly meet Krishna face to face. And you fall in love. The description of the young gopi hearing about Krishna, loving Krishna, but never saw Krishna, because everyone loves Krishna, so he's the subject matter of Braj. Then one day Krishna comes past the house. Hey, Krishna's coming. Everyone rushes up to the roof, all the ladies. Running up behind him. No, don't come. Don't you come, because once you see him, you'll be finished completely. Anyway, she goes, and then she sees Krishna. Then that's fixed. The love is fixed there. So that you get that in your next lifetime. It's very rare that you're going to get... How many people are on the stage of Nishta? We've got to get through it. And Nishta means self-realization. Nishta means, according to Bhanu Swami, you have as much attraction for Krishna as you do mine. That's Nishta. But that's advanced. It's only halfway. But once, as soon as you pass that stage, then it's all downhill. Now it's uphill. But it was like bump starting the car. The Rag Bhakti is that where the Sadhana Bhakti is, the car won't start. So what do? You have to push it. It's hard work. You got to push the car up the hill. Hard work. It's Sadhana Bhakti. Once you get to the top and you push it over, then you jump in. So you're doing it revert. Then it moves. Then you engage the gear, right? Then the wheels are turning. The gear connects. That turns. Does everything back to front. You know, you're supposed to turn the ignition. The engine starts, and then you engage the gears, and it turns the wheels. But the engine's not working. So we have to do it the other way. We have to push it. It's hard work, right? We have to push the car. Do it the reverse system. We turn the wheels, and then we engage the gear, and that catches the engine, and it goes, and it takes us. So this is push up here. This is Bhajana Kriya, Nada Nivritti, then Vishnu on top, then Richi, then very quick. Because now taste is there. Taste is what we want, right? Experience is what we're looking for. You're getting it. Why would you be interested in mine? You can give up the lower taste by experiencing a higher taste, Krishna said. That you have to have that taste. So when you're getting it, then although Maya is still as powerful and formidable as Eksha, as she doesn't diminish her power, potency, but you've got something better, so that's not very significant anymore. Now she's powerful, she's attractive, all attractive. Maya, the expansion of Radharani. She's all attractive in this material world, no doubt, right? Everyone's running around it, the whole creation is running around it. So she's all attractive. But when you, because there's nothing better, but when you have something better, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, when you have, then you can appreciate Radha, or Krishna. Then you might realize that Durga is just a shadow, insignificant, which was fabulous while we were in Maya. Fantastic show, the whole universe. Krishna says it's fantastic, but actually it's only a spark of my splendor, this material creation. It's nothing. But unless you've actually experienced that, then this is fantastic, fabulous, you see. So it's very difficult to let go on a promise of Krishna. But that's a rule. Krishna says, you take it. As you surrender to me, I reward you. You have faith. So that conviction, that faith has to be there. That's what we have to strengthen, that conviction of faith. So that's best done by, associating with devotees physically or through their books, whatever. And we come together, like-minded people, and then we can take great encouragement and become more determined and more fixed to actually surrender, to give up this illusion chase in material. Give up this. It's such a burden. It's such a relief to become free from that chase, to search for happiness in material. It's such a relief. Shanti. So we thank you all for giving your divine association for us and the organizers for arranging some of the camp that we can come and learn and benefit from Krishna consciousness. Should I go back?
One question. Two questions. Do you allow me to ask? It's a simple question. You will answer it. I want to first of all thank you very much for this insightful lecture, which was spoken, I guess, from Maya Purvasi's reflection of life. It was really very valuable. That's all, many notes. I just wanted to ask, it's more a technical question, because I wouldn't ask a question which can be easily answered. I'm also very convinced that you have to give your mind to Krishna. And not just analyze with your intelligence the process of Krishna consciousness. And could you just do me a favor, just clarify, just from a devotee's practitioner point of view, what would that mean to absorb the mind in Krishna? You talked very nicely what it means to neglect the mind, the 3 points which you gave, but how would you, let us just be very practical. I'm sitting in Kirtan. There I have to, it's easy, I have to absorb my mind in the holy name. But in general life, what do you mean you have to give your mind to Krishna as opposed as to just analyzing with a dry intelligence? Please, it's not a challenging question, it's just I'm looking for keys also, and this is an important key.
The Bhagavad Marg, that's Shravanam, Kirtan, Smaranam. That's much easier to give your mind. The other activities, they may not be so easy to give your mind. But just like if your service is that you have to give your full concentration on your service, you may be doing accounts, for instance, or some graphics or whatever it is. You can't remember Krishna. You're not giving your mind to Krishna at that time, right? Obviously. You can't remember Krishna and concentrate on your... But we should understand that, the purpose of this is Krishna's pleasure. The purpose of my service is Krishna's pleasure. Directly or indirectly. When I'm brushing my teeth, how is that Krishna conscious? I've got to do it. No, why are you brushing your teeth? So you don't get disease. Why don't you want disease? Because your body can't be used in service of Krishna. So you're maintaining this body, it's Krishna's property. You're maintaining it so you can properly utilize it in the service of Krishna. So moment by moment, you won't be able to directly think of Krishna, put your mind on Krishna, if you're actually using your mind and intelligence doing something else, you see. Shravana, Kirtan, Smaranam, you can do it. That's why it's Bhagavad Marg. And Achan, especially the worship, then you can also do it. Dasyam, you can also do it to a certain degree. At least you have the same effect with the same practice with the devotees, like Guru and the senior devotees. When we serve them, it's the same as serving Krishna. They have the same principles. It's the same etiquette also. Praying. That's also you can absorb your mind. You can give your mind. So there's a lot of things some of the things you can give directly your mind. You can be totally absorbed, but otherwise you should be totally absorbed in doing whatever you're doing if it's in connection with Krishna. So you're giving your mind to the service of Krishna, and so it's not direct like Shravan, Kirtan, Smaranam, but it's for Krishna's service. You're making a program for Krishna's service. So, but you're giving your mind, you're giving your full attention to that. You're absorbed in that to do it nicely. So it's considered Gora Bhakti, subsidiary devotional activities. I think we mentioned yesterday, Arjuna, he wasn't thinking of Krishna when he was killing the enemies. He had to be one-pointed. He had to be fixed. You have to meditate on that mantra, call that devata, meditate, see the devata, enter the ashtra, aim at that person, fire with full concentration. He's not remembering Krishna, but he's doing it for Krishna. So Krishna's thinking of him. So that's not a problem. Even if you can't remember Krishna, Krishna will remember you if you're doing his service. That's as far as my limited understanding is. Mr. Banksy. Not too esoteric, please.
I noticed that your lecture was basically from the platform of Gopi, fast-speaking Gopi. But Mother Yashoda does not give class to you. Because you said that we are waiting for mercy of Krishna. And Mother Yashoda speaks of Krishna, dependent on her mercy. But actually my point was this, that you also spoke about emotions. My understanding understanding is that there is only one emotion, but many feelings. And many speaks about emotions. For example, if we put Krishna in the center, that we are emotional towards Krishna, and then many feelings come. But we will not speak about many emotions. There is only one emotion.
No, there's many varieties of that one emotion.
Emotion is one, but feelings are many.
Yeah.
What is bewildering, the emotion can go to good. Then we can speak. Because emotion means to focus, to give importance. If you put Krishna in the center, the emotion to Krishna. Krishna in the center. This is divine, this is divine. But if we move emotion through gunas, then we put body in the center. In fashion, we manipulate sattva guna, health, but actually just only one emotion.
Thank you for that valuable information.
But I'm checking.
Back again.
I would like to ask Pankajanghri Prabhu. I have noticed that you were speaking about one very important point for us. I have noticed it also in Sachidananda Maharaj seminar. I'm very grateful to both of you that the most important thing is to come to the level of consciousness that we are doing our service for the pleasure of Krishna. But I was trying to check myself, I'm not able to do it. What is my motivation? Am I doing something just for my name, fame and glory to be recognized by the devotees? Or I'm really doing it for Krishna? I'm unable how to check myself. And what is the method for checking ourselves?
Bringing yourself back into the present moment and understanding this is as good as it is. This is as good as it gets right now. This is what is here. And take it from there. Krishna's given us an opportunity. I may have preferred so many other things, another environment, but this is what it is. So Krishna says it's not a desirable place. It's not a place you come to serve Krishna in the material world, it's a place you come to forget Krishna. So nothing is really suitable. So understanding that this is what we're working with right now. Why should I be depressed about it? We can't change it. This is what's happening right now. So let me serve Krishna and tolerate whatever's going on, and we got service to Krishna. It's perfection. Perfection is there, serving Krishna. So we become absorbed in that service. Then you become. That's what it means. Then the mind becomes peaceful because these other things are not disturbing. It's like the rivers flowing into the ocean. The analogy is there, but it doesn't overflow. That's an analogy in the Bhagavad Gita. So all these ideas and desires are coming. We got one main focus. The mind doesn't stop. It doesn't mean you all those thoughts. Jamuna Acharya says, whenever I think of sex life with a woman, my lip curls and I spit on the thought. What's Jamuna Acharya thinking of sex life with a woman for? No, you're working under the material laws here. This body has its material laws. Thoughts will come. Where do they come from? We don't know. Strange thoughts just come in the head from nowhere. They're not beyond our control. The natural attraction between a man and woman, there's nothing you can do about it. It's a natural attraction there. You can't say it's not true. But when he says, having tasted Krishna consciousness, when my mind thinks of this so-called the greatest pleasure in the material world, I can spit on that thought because it has something better. He can spit on it. We can follow with that. Yeah, it's a good idea. There's pleasure. There's pleasure there in that sex life. Go for it because it's the best we've tasted, except for power, control. But Jamunacharya, when it's a disturbance for him. It's a distraction from real pleasure of serving Krishna. But unless you get the higher taste, you can't really say that with feeling. Then you're just acting from the intelligence, but he's doing from the mind. Mind and the heart are synonymous. Krishna consciousness and love of God is synonymous. Don't expect Krishna consciousness is? That you'll be blissful all the time, you're floating and the lights are coming up? It's not like that. It's not like that in the spiritual world. I mean, they're bright. There's different things happening. Sometimes they're happy, sometimes there's problems coming in the spiritual world, right? To enhance there's waves of activities and waves of different emotions, because it's all about experience, rasa. That's what life's all about, rasa, experience. So then there's obviously in everything, nothing here which is not there. There's also fear in the spiritual world. When Krishna's going to leave, when Bhutana comes, they hear Bhutana, everyone's shaking. Krishna, where's Krishna? Fear of Krishna. So it's there, but that enhances actually she's not there. So they're both there, like the Ripalamba and Sambho, they support each other. They're both necessary. To experience the happiness, there has to be another side of fear or distress. So in Golok you find the ultimate experience. I don't know if you want to go there if you hear about these things. That's why they're very confidential, these topics. You may not want to go. You hear about some extremes. But that's what it's all about, experience. Just like in the Brahmanda, the happiness for the Maya impersonalist, the happiness is just getting out of this material world. They've understood it's a place of suffering. They can't control, they can't enjoy, it's just frustrating. They're advanced. They want to get out. And when they get out, what a relief. Sham. But how long do you stay like that for? When you got out, it's fantastic. Wow, what a relief. Freedom. Complete freedom. So nice. But how long do you stay like that for? But after that, after you forget what it was like here, then it's not happiness anymore. There's nothing to relate it to. It's non-dual. How can you say it's happiness? There's nothing to relate to. So there's no actual happiness there. Even there it is, you're not perceiving happiness. Even if you're perceiving it, you're not understanding it's happiness. Because there's only one state. It's just existence. So there's no actual happiness because there's nothing to relate. There's no distress. So how can you say something's happy if you don't know another side of it? So it's not actually ananda. They don't actually experience ananda. They just experience that existence. So when they first get out, it's fantastic because you left the problem behind. So that's what liberation means. I'm beating your head with my shoes and I stop. That's ananda. That's happiness. It's not happiness. It's relief. It's relief of the problems. But because the material energy is so ferocious, that is regarded as a great jewel, that liberation. Because it's so aggressive, the material energy of the part of the soul. To be free is a great thing. Praise so much throughout the scriptures. But that's all it is. You're just getting out of the that's all. Okay, last question.
Rekao si da je naše svo iskustvo smešteno u umu i da je važan u konekciji duhovnog i materijalnog. Rekao je o dve važne funkcije uma, da je svo iskustvo smešteno u umu i da je um važan u konekciji između duhovnog i materijalnog. Međutim, postoji negativna strana uma u kojoj je rekao još Arjuna da je nemoguće ovladati umom. Međutim, mi koristimo određene trikove ili metode da bismo izbjegli utjecaj, nepoljan utjecaj uma, jer ga ne možemo zaustaviti. I I postoji puno negativnih definicija o nepovoljnom utjecaju uma. Ali postoji jedan pozitivan stih o umu jedne osobe na početku Šrimad Bhagavatama. To je kada Šrila Suta Gosvami kaže za Šrila Šukadeva Gosvamija da je imao takav um da je mogao da uđe u srce svakoga. Da li može bar delimično da opiše um ove uzvišene osobe?
He surrendered his mind to Krishna. It says, when the mind is controlled, it's your best friend. Here, we read today, and also in the Bhagavad Gita, same thing. If the mind is controlled, it's your best friend. If the mind is uncontrolled, it's your worst enemy. And so the best control of the mind, the supreme control, is when you take shelter of Krishna. Mind will be there. You have a spiritual mind also, you're a person. You have a mind, but now that we're projecting to the material mind, influenced by the false ego, which is influencing intelligence. So it's the same mind. We have a mind in our original identity, but that mind is one with Krishna's mind. It is one with the desire of Krishna. But when we're in the material world, we divorce from that. We become separate from the desire of Krishna, and we start to make our own programs. So therefore it's negative. It's keeping us away. But the real mind is positive. It's your best friend. Because that's the actual connection between spirit and matter is the mind, practically speaking. So so it's your best friend. If you surrender to Krishna, if you control the mind, it's your best friend. If you give it to Krishna, it's your sweetheart. So it's positive when it's used properly. But when it's influenced by the separatist mentality of the Hankara, then it's an enemy. Thank you very much. You've noted many of the points very carefully. You're very attentive. So Prabhupada ki jai.